Hey guys, this is Eric Broadus, and this right here is my first audio podcast. And so the subject that I really wanted to talk about was I like to title it "Scrub Your Mind." And when I think about the scrubbing your mind, the reason I came up with that subject is I went on a trip to Ghana, Africa, and I've been back in America about a week now or so. And what happened is that I host a YouTube channel, and there's a video that I made where I talk about having by traveling and becoming cultured, you have these different experiences, and what it does. It broadens our perspective, and being around different types of people, especially or different cultures as a group, what happens, it changes the way we think and how we see things. And so when I think about scrub your mind, there was what also brought it about. I was at this at a store that is now big in Africa, but that went out of business on the East Coast in the United States, named ShopRite. And ShopRite and Pathmark, for anybody that's listening that may be from the East Coast, especially Northeast, anywhere from probably maybe Baltimore or above, if they've been around for a while, they know about ShopRite or Pathmark. But ShopRite or Pathmark basically was just like a regular store, for the I guess you could say maybe the working class, individual. And what happened is that years ago, ShopRite went out of business in the United States, and then they, I guess, reinvented themselves overseas in Ghana, Africa. And ShopRite overseas is on par. It's the equivalent with, I would say, a minimum of Bel Airs or Rayleigh's, but actually it's on par probably with Whole Foods. A lot of gourmet stuff. It's upscaled. And I normally have my brand of shower gel and lotion products, which is Aveeno. And being in Africa, I accidentally left my Aveeno body wash at one of the hotels, and I was like, oh man, I didn't pack it. I accidentally left it behind. So I go into ShopRite, at the Accra Mall in Ghana, and I happen to find some body wash, and I think it said like African Paradox, black body wash, something like that. And so I was like, this is something different, let me give it a try. And so, I gave it a try, and it's actually a pretty good product, it's actually, body wash is really good, and it was something, it was different because I've been using Aveeno for years. But anyway, to make a long story short and drive my point home is that by using that body wash as something different, I came up with the concept of scrubbing. And when I talk about scrubbing your mind, I'm talking about changing the way that we think. And if you don't travel or go to different environments and be around different types of people, your mindset is going to stay the same way. And if you don't get around different people and have different experience and learn, you basically can't grow, and you can't properly develop. So when I talk about scrubbing your mind, it's basically breaking down walls, breaking our paradigms, because all of us we all have walls and certain ways of thinking, and we have our individual prejudices, even for those of us like myself that are very open-minded. We all we have room to grow, and we need to, I guess, if in some ways, come out of our comfort zone, because everybody on this planet has something to offer. And as individuals, we're all different, and you have different groups of people, and even different classes of people. But everybody's different. No individual person is the same, and no group of people are the same. But when I thought about scrubbing, scrub your mind, that means what I'm saying in plain layman's terms is change the way that you think. Learn something different. Come out of your comfort zone. Don't always seek to do things the same way. If you always do things the same way, you'll get the same result. And granted, in some cases, that's fine, and it's appropriate to do that. But then in other cases, you need to expand and broaden your horizons. And by me going to Ghana, going to Africa, that's actually my first time. Now, understand something about me. I'm a military guy. I'm prior military, so I spent probably about 14 and a half years living abroad and also traveling. So for me, I'm used to the diversity of cultures, going into different environments and interacting I really dug in, and getting into the culture and living the different, maybe the different lifestyle. And over time, what I discovered is that when I returned back to the United States, and even to, say, around certain friends or similar environments, I had grown and I had changed. But that whole time, I hadn't realized it. And I really did. I would say to anyone that hasn't traveled yet, I would highly encourage you, get your passport and go. Get your passport and go. It is an enriching experience that money cannot buy. And by virtue of me going into the military and then going overseas like that, what happened is that being around these different individuals in these different cultures, different countries, I grew, and it changed the way I thought. I see things differently than I did before I went in. And it's just amazing. And even just going to Africa, I was there about 2.5 weeks. The people were definitely very warm and genuine. But, I saw went to a different culture, which is part of my genetic heritage. But I got to see, something totally different than how they do things in the state. Even from everything to how they drive, which in some ways, they can drive kind of crazy over there. But, also, I would have to say I am from New York City. And in New York City, it's called a New York Minute. It means that whatever you have to say, you say it quickly. And everybody's about making that money in New York City. I'm talking about making that green. Well, I got to tell you, I think Ghana took the cake. I call Ghana the king of the hustle. And it's just understandable over there. If you don't have a business or you don't work for the federal government, you don't have a certain type of steady job over there right now, there is no unemployment set in place. There's no social welfare program set in place yet, which they are moving into that. They're getting ready to set up a system where they're going to start taking taxes, and they'll be developing some form of Social Security, and they'll have disability insurance, unemployment, blah blah blah, all of that. And so they're going to bring that online. It's actually starting, I believe, this year. But there's more to come on that, and they've obviously gone to some type of registration system where you have to have an ID card, and I guess an ID card has a number, and that's for non-residents and residents alike. But anyway, I was amazed, when I see the people, carrying the items on top of their head, and they're out there, I'm talking about in the road or in the street, man. They're selling everything. They sell you everything from food to roof tile, furniture. I mean, everything you can think of. But they were getting after their money, and obviously it's because of survival. And so there was a gentleman that told me and my sister. He said the reason why we have to hustle, he said, because if I don't work, I don't eat. And I was like, wow, but it's a different concept for those of us that are in the West and that are in rich and wealthy nations, with myself being in the United States, and thank goodness that Franklin Delano, that FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, that he did institute during the industrial era these social programs. Also, can you imagine the United States with 325 million people? If we didn't have these social programs, there'd really be some chaos. But but they were getting after it, and there were no excuses. They didn't make any excuses. They got about it and got after their money. Talk about making lemonade out of lemons. I was like, wow. But it's I just watched their work ethic. They didn't cry and make excuses. And granted, Ghana is a middle class economy, which is fastly growing, and they're coming online with the West. So, and their economy is definitely booming. But I was just amazed. I was like, wow. Going over there, it taught me as a Westerner and as an American to appreciate what you have. At least here in the United States, we do have our problems, but we have something that's called opportunity. And in America, by far, it is not perfect, but if you work and really work hard enough, you got a chance at having a piece of something. Whereas over there was just some people that couldn't even afford to finish school because there's like I'm not sure. I don't know if there's public education over there or not, but some of them couldn't afford to finish, because you had to pay. If your parents don't have the money, you're just out of luck. In terms with the medical system, you better have their money over there. I mean, it's like in America, the doctors here, they want their money, but it's over there. If you get seen in the emergency room or that doctor's visit and you don't have the money to pay up front, even if you heal while you're in the hospital, they will hold you in there until somebody comes and pays that doctor fee. Other than that, you can't leave. So I was like, wow, that's it's like, wow, that's something there, And I was at one of the medical facilities, and I saw the people that were in the waiting area, and I was just like, wow. It's like, here in America, boy, oh boy, and in the West, we really do have it good, and we do have some significant advantages. Now, with every country there's going to be pluses and minuses, but definitely made me grateful for what I have here in America. Now, I definitely did enjoy some of the history. I found was also very, very interesting. Me being a military man, and I would tell you this. There's a video that I'm going to upload on my YouTube channel where we visited the Ghana Armed Forces Museum, and I got the opportunity to see in the one of the photos of the first black soldier that was allowed to wear shoes in the military or footwear. So I never knew that the soldiers or the officers or enlisted that they fought in World War II with the British. And you're talking about these guys weren't allowed to wear shoes, and they're fighting in combat with their counterparts, who has footwear on. So that tells me that these guys had to be pretty tough and determined. I also saw another picture that was on this wall in this Armed Forces Museum in Ghana, where these black enlisted soldiers and officers, they did a full military career and they retired, and they did their whole entire career without being authorized to wear shoes. I was like, wow, that's something. I'm talking about you taking lemons and making lemonade. They didn't make any excuses. So I was impressed. But there were other I got to videotape some of the footage of the different types of medals that they were awarded. Obviously the different weapon systems that they did use. And then, I mean, it's so much in terms of the history that I couldn't begin to begin to what's in my head, and what I see in my head, I can't begin to quote it on this on this audio podcast. I couldn't. There was just so much. I mean, you'd have to see the video on my YouTube channel, but I definitely was amazed and impressed. I mean, there was some ride or die soldiers, old and young, that led revolts and stood up, against oppression and the system. I mean, it just goes really deep. I mean, there's history involving the CIA being over there. I mean, just different types, and obviously certain types of corruption that obviously did occur in Ghana during that time period. But overall, the tour guide was outstanding. He did an outstanding job of laying it all out from start to finish. So you'd have to see the video on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to say it at the end of this podcast. My YouTube channel is Eric Broadus YouTube, and my name is spelled my first name ERIC, last name Broadus BROADUS, and it's YouTube. So for any of the footage that I have of Ghana, Africa, you can go to my YouTube channel to see that. But yeah, I did. I had a blast. We were guest of honor at a festival at this village named Bremen Famayo, and this is in Ghana, Africa. And they were actually honoring, my sister was sponsoring a non-governmental organization called Live and Reign, and in honor of our mother, she had the Marianne Broadus Awards, and what the award was given to the children that did outstanding in Bible study. And her former pastor is a diplomat and is a chief elder. He's a chief of this particular village. So they were honoring him, and there was definitely other dignitaries that were there. The guy that actually discovered the cure for HIV/AIDS was there, and how I wish I could have got a chance to interview him and upload that on my channel. I mean, that was something. I was like, you got to be kidding me. There were different people or VIPs that showed up from different parts, some from the UK. I mean, they came from different parts of the world, Australia. I mean, I'm not sure if we had any coming from Latin America, but they came from various parts, America, obviously. But the festival, it was a nice turnout. And in this festival, what they're seeking to do is to develop this village. So there was donations and different pledges, but I'd never, been to a village before. Not even. I mean, I've been to the Philippines, I've been to Mexico, and I've never been to anything like that. The festival actually lasted, I believe, about maybe 4 days, maybe 4 or 5 days, and we stayed at this newly built hotel there in the village. And so I had a chance to experience being with the local people that are actually in the culture. And obviously, there are some similarities and some differences, because no matter where you go, people are people. But definitely warm and genuine, and it was a very unique experience, and it's an experience of a lifetime. But it definitely added, and it further expanded my perception. It definitely has changed how I thought, and even how I view Africa. Many times they show these images of Africa, being in poverty, kids with swollen bellies, and I got news flash, folks. That is not necessarily true. Africa, like any place else, has got people that have money, that are rich. There is a middle class there, so they show those images on TV, but it's honestly, it's for a large part of it, it's not all like that. Now, granted, there is definitely some poverty and need for development, but I would say, you have go and see it for yourself. You can't believe the hype and everything that you see on TV. Many of them, everybody just seemed like they was eating to me. Even in the village where it's not as, nowhere near as well developed, they definitely have food and they were definitely eating. But the one thing I did find when I looked at the physically in the population of Ghana, I would have to say there's like 50% of the people seem to be pretty muscular and fit, and I'm talking about even the females. I mean, at least half of them, flat stomachs. I mean, even the women, got some 6-packs going on, and the guys got like 6 to like 10 packs. But I was like, wow, it's like, how do they stay so fit? I'm talking about every muscle in place. It's like, I don't understand how they do it. But I guess maybe for some, it must be a combination of maybe the manual labor and probably a combination of diet. Because I noticed that when we actually ate the food there, the food didn't have as many, maybe a lot of additives. It was designed to, you eat it and you quickly digest it, and then like later on you'd be hungry again because it's not heavy. The food wasn't heavy, and it doesn't sit on you like I guess you could say like American food does, with all the stuff that we have in it. And I guess I would say maybe it's probably maybe the equivalent of organic, because you don't really have anything in it. But yeah, and I have to say, even for myself, just being there in that 2.5 week times, whatever the food we were eating, finally, my 6-pack returned, and I'm like, wow. I mean, and I didn't have a whole lot for the military, but since I got out and haven't been training a lot and been living this civilian life, I'd gotten a little bit, of a stomach, but when I went there, just like, boom, flattened right back out. And I was like, hey, abs, where you been? But no. But in all honesty, when I say scrub your mind, it means to change your thought process. And you can't change your thought process by staying around the same people, going to the same places, and doing the same thing. People, places, and things. You have to come out of your comfort zone, and coming out of our comfort zone is in most cases is never easy. So people, placing the things, and so I would definitely recommend scrub your mind, meaning change the way you think. Go somewhere different. The world is bigger than where we were born and raised at. And for those, like I said, for those that are from America, United States of America is not the only place on the planet. There's a whole big world out there. There's a whole big world out there, and so much to see. And you get to learn and see how other people live, and in different cultures, they do some things different. Some things you may like and some things you may not. But it's all about that experience, and maybe you may find something that you like, and you never knock it until you try it. Going to Ghana, I definitely would say it's a lesson. Don't knock anybody's hustle so long as it's honest. Don't knock the hustle, baby. But it's definitely forever changed the way I think. And for anybody listening to this podcast, there's definitely, if you are looking to invest, and I'm not an investment advisor, so please, this is just off the record. I'm just saying, Ghana definitely may be somewhere you wanna take a look at investing. I would probably suggest probably going online and do your research, but I can't remember exactly. I think it's Ghana Investment something. I can't remember the name of the ministry that handles those affairs for Ghana, but I would definitely recommend taking a look. If you got a few pennies or something like that you can afford to spare on the side, you definitely want to take a look at Ghana and definitely Africa, because the Chinese are investing and they pour in money and they are developing Africa like nobody's business. And so you don't want to miss out on the wave, of them being on the rise, because once it rises, price, what you can get now, cheaper, prices are going to go up. And I myself and also my relatives, we're going back to invest. We are definitely going back to invest. I was able to open some accounts over there, and I would say it's well worth it. And so I want to take a look at the Ghanaian Stock Exchange as well, and look at possibly other investments, as they do pay a higher yield or interest rate than the banks do in the United States. You're not really getting a lot, even though you always want to make sure you do your research and watch out for volatility, or inflation. But as with anything, investment, there's always going to be a certain level of risk in it. So I would definitely advise, hey, do your research before you put your money in. But definitely I would take a look in Africa, and definitely in investing in Ghana, because they are on the rise. And I think it's a good place where you can build, you definitely can build, and you can grow your money. So that's just my take on it. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Yes, scrubbing your mind. Obviously, those of you that may be religious or Christians would probably refer to the scriptures as be renewed in the spirit of your mind, meaning basically cleanse your mind, get it cleansed, and get the garbage out, But I'm not going religious, but for the sake of scrubbing your mind, I'm talking about changing your thought process, your the way you think, breaking your paradigms, and maybe false beliefs, that we have. A lot of times we have false belief about people and places that we've actually never been. And then when you get there and you're up there, up close and personal, and you see it for yourself, wait a minute, this is not at all, what I thought. So you don't never know. And I do recommend, get your passport and go, people. Get your passport and boogie on out there, because there is so much to see. And what a shame it would be, just to spend your life just in the same place and never go anywhere else or see anything different. There's nothing wrong with making a certain place your home and homesteading, but travel abroad and get out there and see something, and don't be afraid to mix in with the locals. I used to always go through that in the military. There was always certain guys in the military, we overseas. It's like, hey, why you come overseas if you don't want to go off base? I mean, if you want to stick with what's in America, we got that. You have an opportunity to get down into and experience the culture, by mingling, with the people. So I would definitely recommend that. Get your passport, go. And it will definitely enhance your life. It will change your thought process. And I will say this, I believe in the long run, you'll actually be better off for it, And like I said, everybody has something to offer. And so don't knock any culture or any culture, don't knock it, until you've been, and don't be so quick to judge unless you walked in another person's shoes. But Again, the name of the topic for this podcast is Scrub Your Mind. Layman's terms, change the way you think. Change the way you think. Give it a shot. Come on, step out of your comfort zone. Grow. Learn something different. And my YouTube channel is Eric Broadus YouTube. That's EricBroadus YouTube. And you subscribe to my channel. Please tap the bell so you can get future podcasts or any new videos or posts that'll come out. And hit me up. Check me out, guys. But I definitely have some footage that I'm uploading for Ghana. And this right here is my first podcast, so forgive me if it was a bit choppy or whatever like that. But it's my first one, and I am definitely looking forward to doing some more. So, guys, I will catch you on the next podcast. But again, scrub your mind, guys. And that includes ladies, you know what I'm saying? Scrub your mind. Get that passport and go out there and see the world. All right, guys? Peace.